Hi, everybody. We're here with Dan Simon. Dan, how are you?
Great to be here. I appreciate it, Giuseppe.
All right. For those people who don't know us, just a few words about me. I'm a retired mediator in Hawaii. And then, if you agree, I would like to say a few words about you. You are an expert in transformative mediation, and you have been mediating all kinds of cases since 1998. Am I correct? So not only family, divorce, commercial, workplace, and you also train. You're a trainer, and so you train. You already trained probably hundreds of people, right?
Oh, sure.
In transformative mediation. Okay, and we're here to talk about the book that you wrote with Tara West, Self-Determination in Mediation, the Art and Science of Mirror and Lights. Okay. So then, for those mediators who will be watching this video, but don't know about transformative mediation, would you mind explaining what makes transformative mediation unique as compared to other mediation methods?
Happy to. Transformative mediation for me means a commitment to self-determination of the parties in each moment of the process above all else. And so that's part of the explanation for why we gave the book the title that we did, Self-Determination in Mediation. Right. It so happens that from my perspective, if you're really committing to supporting party self-determination, the transformative approach is the approach that's most consistent with that commitment.
Right.
And the word transformative just suggests that it's only through a commitment to party self-determination,
right,
really meaningful changes can happen in how the parties are interacting with each other, because those have to come from within them, really. We can't impose those from outside. So transformation has to come from them. So it has to be about self-determination for them.
Right.
The important focus is the conversation that happens between the parties. Right. And so in a way, the mediator's role is a little bit, in a way, it's a little bit de-emphasized, because the focus remains on the clients, and it's client-centered, client-focused, and so it is much less about the mediator, I believe, than some other approaches to mediation are.
Sure. And is an approach that was invented by Robert Baruch Bush.
Yeah, Bush and Folger are the guys who wrote the book that first articulated it and called it the transformative approach to mediation. Right. The Promise of Mediation is their book, and I think they should get a lot of credit for clarifying it. Although there were people before them who had some of the same sensibilities, some of the same idea that the focus should be on the parties making choices and not so much on the mediator guiding or nudging or pushing.
When we publish this interview, since I like the idea, seeing is believing, right? I'm going to provide a few links to a number of simulations. The first one being the one that you did years ago, actually with Skype, because Zoom did not exist at that time. And there was a mediator in Hawaii, there was another mediator in England. Then I will provide another link to another video simulations available on YouTube by Baruch Bush about the Purple House dispute. And then a third link, which I found particularly interesting. Yeah. So I think that seeing transformative mediation in action is probably more useful than just talking about it.
I think so. I'm glad you're doing that. It's also true that I think it's a very different experience to be the client in the mediation than it is to watch the mediation from outside.
Yes.
But I have this experience. I just did a demonstration with a law school class a couple nights ago, and we did a simulation with a couple of the law students, and the law students had meaningful shifts. They had transformation happen. But from when you look at it from outside, it's really hard to understand what the mediator is doing because it's pretty subtle and it's pretty
subtle, right.
It looks kind of understated and it's less obvious. It's a lot of it's happening internally for the mediator, who is remaining focused on the parties and not interfering with what they're doing. And so the stars of the show are the parties, not the mediator. Anyway, but still wouldn't hurt to watch a mediation. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Okay, now let me ask you a question about the subtitle of the book, because you talk about art and science. The science is the method itself.
The science refers to the research that we cite.
The research
that supports the idea that people want to feel connected and that they want to be making their own decisions. Just a lot of the different kind of psychological research that's been done that just shows that human nature is for transformation to happen. So that's the science that we cite.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more than method. It's research as well. There is some.
Yeah. The method is a model. The method is a theory. The science refers to that research that we cite.
And art part, I assume, is something that people have to figure out by themselves.
It acknowledges that it's not an exact science.
Exactly.
So far, the information we have about what's most helpful to people in conflict is pretty anecdotal. It's like it's based on our own experience of what seems like it's helpful. There have not been randomized controlled trials of different mediation approaches. So the science is limited. It's got to be an art to a certain extent.
How would you describe your book? Is it kind of serial case studies, practical advice to practitioners? How would you describe the essence of your book?
Well, it was our response to our sense that there is a very wide range of understanding of what party self-determination means in the world of mediation.
Right.
From one extreme where you say that mediation is about self-determination simply because there is no judge present. And so technically, legalistically, the parties have the authority to come to an agreement or not. And therefore, mediation is about self-determination. That's one end of the continuum.
Right.
We would say that there's a lot of room on that end of the continuum to really undermine people making their own choices. There's a lot of ways to pressure them, scare them, guide them, manipulate them, advise them even in ways that aren't about them achieving their own greater clarity and their own greater appreciation for each other. And so we just really wanted to make that point about self-determination. And then we wanted to tell stories about our attempts to apply that sense of self-determination in real life cases. And then the reality that's, I don't know, despite the fact that I've been trying to do it for 20 some years, I still don't know what I'm doing for sure. And I clearly make mistakes all the time. And I'm sometimes torn in a certain moment about what I'm supposed to do as a mediator. And so we just wanted to tell that story.
So that's the art part.
That's right. There you go. Sure.
All right. Okay. Now I get it. Yeah. That's why mediation is so fascinating, because, you learn, if you want, there's always something new to learn about the case, about yourself, about the parties. But that's a different story.
It is a creative endeavor. It is how do I do this thing that I want to do in the context of a conversation that two other people are having?
Right.
You got to have some vision of what you're trying to do, but then how you do it is always there's like stylistic choices all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Then a final question, if I may. Who do you think will benefit by reading this book?
Anybody who takes being a mediator seriously. So anyone who really wants to mediate and really cares about it and wants to think deeply about how best to do it. So particularly mediators. On the other hand, I think this theme of self-determination and agency and autonomy is very timely in our culture at the moment, where the political polarization that has everybody afraid that someone else is trying to control them. And in fact, there are people trying to control us and figuring out how to stay in touch with our agency and make our own choices in this context is not easy, but it's important. So it applies to the human condition and especially to mediators.
Okay, then this was very informative and nice. And
yes.
Thank you very much then.
My pleasure. Thank you, Giuseppe.
Thank you.